Hey guys, it is Amy the Relocator coming to you live once again from my office. It is Monday, February 17th, 2020, and it is a hot, steamy one here. Let me tell you, I was walking into Magic Kingdom this morning and I thought, okay, I'm actually a little bit cold. I should have brought my sweatshirt. I know better because if you're not cold from the outside weather, you're cold from the pumped up air conditioning in the stores here. And so I was like, I always have a sweatshirt with me, and lo and behold, I was a little cold, but that lasted all of like 30 minutes before I got in Magic Kingdom, and it was packed today because happy President's Day. But also most important today is it's Moving Mondays. What is Moving Mondays? For those of you that are new to it, Moving Mondays is basically my story about how I moved here, how I moved to Florida, how my family did. We did it twice, just kind of going over the pros and cons, the reality, the fantasy, the just whole part of it, and kind of just taking it in small pieces, small bites, because relocation in itself is just overwhelming. I have so many friends that are either currently doing it or about to do it, and there's just so much coming at you with schools, jobs, neighborhoods. You pick it, you know, you name it, there it is. So today I thought we would talk about neighborhoods and HOAs. So in Wisconsin, we rented and we owned, and never in either scenario did we ever have an HOA. And I actually had to look up just to make sure I said what an HOA was correctly. I knew what it was, but it's obviously a homeowner association. And the definition is a private association formed by a real estate developer for the purpose of marketing, managing, and selling homes and lots in a residential subdivision. Now, I would say it's more managing. I don't know if it's about selling the lots in resident. I don't know if I ever really agree with that part. But for us in Florida anyway, we have now rented 3 homes here in Florida since 2011. I can tell you all 3 places, 3 very different scenarios with the HOAs. So let me walk you through it and tell you how we have dealt with it and what our experiences have been, and hopefully that can help you a little bit. So house number 1, we lived about 10 minutes outside Magic Kingdom, right off of real close to World Drive. It's a huge, big suburb. It's one of the older ones and one of the ones that look more like actually Green Bay than anything. And they have huge yards and huge lots, and that's what draws to it, because the yards were really big and our kids were little at the time, and we got a pool, the whole kit and caboodle. So we wanted to rent when we first got here because we wanted to make sure, obviously, we didn't buy something into a neighborhood we didn't like or a house we didn't like, and we just wanted time to actually just park it and then go out and see what we wanted to do. So we rented, and we found we had a private landlord, the first house we had. So what happens with a private landlord HOA is very interesting. Our scenario with ours was that he full on admitted to us that he does not pay his HOA fees. He full out said, we haven't paid them in years. The problem with that is that because we were renting from said person and family, the problem with that was that all of his decisions obviously tricked down to our decisions. So we were not asked to be part of meetings. We did not have a key to the clubhouse, a key to the pool house. We were just not involved in that community as much as we could have because we were renting from him. So we were a byproduct of his decisions to not pay them. And he honestly didn't really care about paying them. And that's why he admitted to us he didn't care about them. He could have put it in our rent. He chose not to. So for the very many years that we lived actually in that home, the home itself was fine. It needed a lot of improvements, but we went round and round with him on the HOA thing, and we just never got anywhere. The purpose of HOAs is honestly, like, part of the definition I read you guys, is to manage the neighborhood. It's almost like a little government for the neighborhood, and you can take or leave it however you want to think of that. But what it helps with is that they take care of everything from decisions of fencing, not pets necessarily, but signage for leashing your pets, for picking up your dogs, droppings. They're responsible for basically policing the neighborhood, but hopefully in a decent way that everybody is comfortable with. And I think that's the problem with HOAs, because there's always be somebody that doesn't agree with something. So we're currently in an HOA that does not allow fencing in here, and the one body of people that are on that HOA, they made that decision, and we've had new people move in our neighborhood, and there was like this whole like almost battle brewing in our neighborhood recently, that they were trying to get other neighbors to basically oust my HOA people, and I don't know the people and I don't know the people ousting them. I just know we were approached, and because we rent, we're just put in this other category. Even though we're longtime renters, we don't have a whole lot of say in it because again, we didn't buy the house, and so HOAs tend to treat renters a little bit different than I feel the people who have actually bought their homes. I wish it was different, but so first scenario, it was basically nobody cared. So my mom and my stepdad decided that they wanted to bring this, basically it's not one of those ginormous RVs, but it's a medium-sized RV. And they had a rule about you couldn't put RVs or boats or anything in the driveways. But when you haven't, and I guess that the reason why our landlord was not paying the HOA fees is because the HOA wasn't doing their job. So I get that byproduct of that. But then when one example is set where one person doesn't care, and it was a huge suburb, then everybody starts to not care. And so we were kind of stuck in between this, well, should we let them bring the RV and will we get in trouble? And because we're renting, we don't want to upset anybody. We certainly don't want to get kicked out. But on the other hand, if the HOA isn't caring about it, but one neighbor's paying their fees and one isn't, it didn't make a lot of sense. And if the HOA was being paid by, I mean, there's a lot of homes that would be easily 500 homes in there. If half of them are even paying into it, whatever that fee is, I don't know what they were paying for. There was a little clubhouse with a pool, but everybody pretty much had a pool in that neighborhood. I don't know what else you were paying for. There's no security fences. There was no gates. There's no like PIN code to put in like our second home. I didn't really understand it. We never understood it. My mom came with the RV. She stayed there a week in the driveway. The close neighbors that we cared about and they cared about us, we asked them would they mind if it was there. They didn't care if it was there. It was just a weird situation because you're like, well, you don't want to be a rule breaker, but you also, if nobody's going to care about it, then don't care about it. I don't know. You know what I mean? So there's that. So then let's move on to house two. House two with the HOA. We met them. They came and met us. I'm sure they were curious who we were. And they invited us to their first HOA meeting, and we would never really partake in it. We didn't really see the point in it. There was nothing. They had the security, and that was it. Other than a garage sale they'd have, which our immediate neighbor, the only neighbor we had, would tell us like, hey, the garage sale's in 2 weeks, just so you guys know. I think there was a website that Craig was on to check in now and then. We were renting from a big company now, not a private person, so maybe that was the reason. So they were definitely sticklers though. Like we had our garbage can out once, maybe an inch, I'm not even joking, outside the fence where you put the can around on the side of the house. A lot of people don't like putting them in their garages because obviously they stink, and then it gets sucked up in your AC here, and it just makes your house smell horrible. So I highly tell you, don't do that. I highly encourage you not to do that. Anyway, I had it out like an inch too far. Like I didn't push it all the way against the wall of the house, and we got nailed for it. So they like have another company, a side company from the HOA that they must pay, and they go around and basically ding everybody who's not doing what they're supposed to be doing in the HOA rules. Again, it's one of those things where you have to be proactive as a renter to go look at these rules, to go be involved if you really want to be involved. The perks of that part of the HOA weren't really that great. It's just more rules. You can only paint your house a certain color. I think the vacation homes, they had a lot of stipulations on them, like rules and regulations around them. We were in a suburb that only had one way in and one way out, yet they wouldn't let us park overnight there. And it was like the roads were big and open in the back. We were way in the back at the top of like this big suburb. We were way in the back. It was a big home we were in, our second home. And I mean, there's nobody across the street from us, nobody on the right. We only had one neighbor on the left, no one behind us. And yet there's nobody on the side in front of us, and yet we couldn't park our cars on the road, everybody. And so when we at one point had 3 cars, that was really fun to try to maneuver around. And you know, even the 2 cars was kind of a pain in the butt because a lot of people don't park in their garages. Like I said, that's their basements here. Everyone just fills them with stuff because there's nowhere else to put it. So that was that HOA. So we would get nailed for little stuff like that. So then that's when their policing can kind of get ridiculous, because you're like, seriously, a garbage can being out an inch? But yes. So now house 3 in Florida, where we are at now, a little farther out from the second house. We are off 27 now. I hate it. That's why we're moving in a couple months from this area. So it'll be a house number 4. But house 3 here with HOA, the problem, like I said, is that there was an uproar with how the HOA was handling things, and they were going door to door talking to people, and they basically treat you like, you know, a second-rate citizen the minute they find out you're renting. We were not vacationers. There's nothing wrong with that either, but I could see them saying, oh, you're vacationing, well, we're not going to bother you with this, but we do live here. And they informed us of a garage sale they wanted to have, which we just had no time even to get ready for. It was like, literally, they informed us Wednesday and the garage sale was like Saturday. I'm like, there's no time. This girl takes like a month to get our garage sale together. So that didn't work. We are part of No Decisions. So this HOA, where the last one wanted us there, this one, it's basically like, oh, you're renters, well, we really don't need you, you know, we really don't need you part of the decision-making kind of attitude. So a little bit snobbish over on this HOA. So it could be anything, but like I said, there's no fences here. You can only paint your house a certain color. We had a guy that painted his house a very interesting green, like Hulk green, kind of Hulk green. And it's not bad, it's just that it's very green. And we were wondering if he was gonna get nailed for it. And he even stopped us while we were walking one night. He's like, do you guys think I'll get nailed for it? I didn't talk to the HOA very much about it. That's the other thing. A lot of these people, like he lives actually in Illinois, but he owns a summer home. Or people own and rent homes in here just for vacationers. So the problem with a lot of that is that these things are happening in the immediate now, but they're not being taken care of because it's a vacationer coming in and out, or it's just a snowbird. It just doesn't seem like anyone takes it seriously, I guess. So because we're on a corner, we couldn't have a fence. So we wound up putting bamboo, like a couple layers around the inside of our lanai, just to have some privacy, because my bedroom's literally right here, and on the other side of this wall, like 5 feet over, is a sidewalk, and I would never ever want a corner house again. You just watch. So I'm gonna get in wherever we're going. I haven't said it. So that's that. So but here's the great side of HOAs. If you get into an HOA, find out about your lawn care and your pool care. So our lawn care, everybody that pays into it, so our rent does pay into the HOA on this one, which means that we should be able to be part of decision making, but honestly, all it really does is pay our lawn care. But that being said, lawn care comes once a week, and it's usually on a Wednesday morning, and they do it all day long. And so they cut, they trim, they do our palm trees. My sidewalks, the HOA was complaining that they were too dirty, and I was just like, my sidewalks are too dirty. It's just an odd thing to me. I don't know. I feel like in Wisconsin, people will be laughing and being like, really, you'll knock yourself out if you really want to power wash them, but they're just gonna get dirty again. Whatever. So anyway, the HOA got together and power washed everyone's sidewalks, and I was like, awesome. I mean, we're paying for it anyway. Why should I pay twice for it? Because we're gonna have to rent a power washer. So things like that are really nice, because you know, they want to keep, my neighborhood is it's like a horseshoe, okay? Like a horseshoe within like a little bit more of a horseshoe. It's very small. Have you seen the Truman Show? That's my neighborhood. They want everything lined perfectly, so they edge the lawns. I'm telling you, it looks great. It's just off 27, so you're just, you know, putting your life in, you know, God's hands. Well, we do that every day, right? But I mean, in the traffic hands, and just pray that, you know, today's the day you don't die on 27. So that's where an HOA can be honestly an amazing blessing. So that has been a phenomenal thing. We were like, wait a minute, we don't have to, because in the first house where he wasn't paying our HOA fees, we had to deal with mowing a lawn. Do you know what mowing a lawn is like in July and August heat? It is so hot. I can't even tell you guys how hot it is. So we'd have to get up literally like at 6 in the morning and mow just to beat the sun, just to try to beat the heat. So having somebody else just taking care of that has been wonderful. Pool care, same thing. The company goes through our landlord, and so we don't have to deal with it. They come once a week as well. They clean it, they do the chemicals, like every other week, and that's it. So that is definitely a perk of the HOAs. So my suggestion to you is definitely invest time into when you find your neighborhood, you like the neighborhood, definitely do a Google view and definitely drive it during rush hour, drive it on the weekends, drive it when you think it'll be the absolute busiest. That's your best feel to get for the neighborhood. And then go on their website, I'm sure every neighborhood has one, and talk to somebody or get into a Facebook group, talk to them about, does anybody live in the Pines West? Does anybody live in Loma Linda? Can you tell me about how the neighborhood is and how is the HOA? Ask these questions. So you know what you're getting in for. I get a lot of those questions on top of a lot of questions I read on Facebook about moving and stuff, that people are so irritated with the HOAs and that they didn't know what they're getting themselves into, and you just feel policed. And it can work for the better for everybody if you're just, you know what you're getting into right away, which is obviously the biggest thing you want to take away with relocating here. It's just know what you're getting into. Neighborhoods just the same way. I mean, that second house, having the one way in and one way out was a pain in the butt. Security fences. I know you're gonna think that feels secure to you. It's not, and I'll tell you why. Because when you have vacation homes in your neighborhood, they're giving out that code, by the way, to everybody. So everybody who vacations there has that code. Now, I know, of course, Tom's not gonna go online and give it away to, everybody he knows, but the code isn't like it's safe with all the owners, the homeowners, the renters, everybody who lives there, all the locals in there. Everybody's getting this code. And so it was a joke in my second home that, the code was, they've changed it since then, but it was like 1776, which I always laughed at, that was their code they picked. And half the time the security fence didn't work. So you're stuck there in the pouring rain, you can't open it. It was such a pain in the butt, you guys, and not having another access point. So I definitely, as much as you think the security things are great, just talk to somebody about it. Really talk to somebody who lives there about it, or talk to the owner or whatever, and just ask them about, how does it really work, and but have another way of getting in and out of your neighborhood. Don't go one way and one way out. It's just, especially if someone breaks down. Where we were located was off of Ronald Reagan, so that can get crazy. It's crazy busy now, so try to even get in and out of there. The school bus, find out where your school bus picks up too. That is humongous, because if you're in a busy road, the school bus was stopping around Reagan. And those of you who know what I'm talking about, it is a very busy road in the morning and after school. And so that's terrifying that your kids are getting off on this major crazy road. So anyway, neighborhoods, just do your homework. That's all I can tell you. When you think you haven't done it enough, do more. You think maybe you've picked one, pick that one, and then have choice A, B, C, and D, and then go from there looking for your houses. And study up on those HOAs, study up the area, study up the growth. Look at what is being construction. Look what is being built around the area you're interested in. Is everything built? Is everything growing? Are what you need, if like we talked about the bubble a couple weeks ago, is it conducive to what your needs are? But like I said, we've had such different experiences with HOAs that, because we haven't owned yet in Florida, I haven't had to deal with painting my house yet, putting a fence up. We've just dealt with the regular renting of, okay, well, we're just gonna put bamboo up. That's what we can deal with. Or, maybe we could have got a fence and just put it up, and secured it somehow inside the lanai instead of worrying about the outside of it. That's kind of how I look at it. Like, okay, we have this kind of fenced in area, let's do something with it. Yeah, I just definitely, and don't live on a corner. We've lived in so many corners, don't live on a corner. Between people parking, so people park on my road all the time, and we have a guy who that's another thing. HOAs usually will not ever allow you to conduct business in your garage or in your home. I know a lot of apartment buildings don't like that either, and it's just, I think it's a liability thing. I think it's There's all rules and regulations all over the business stuff end of that. So we have a guy that fixes cars over here, and he's constantly thumping his stereo, whatever. And you know, it's fine. You know, have your business. I don't think he's supposed to, number one, but we just let it be. We try to ignore it. It's the noise and it's the constant running up and down with the car. And, you know, if we were on the corner, we wouldn't have that much, you know, noise pollution. And it's, you know, obviously irritating because I feel like this side of the house is just never secure. It's never, because we're so like, boom, there's the sidewalk. And it's really weird. Like, I have no windows on the side of the house at all, except in the bathroom, which we just put a curtain over anyway, because I'm like, why would I even, it's fuzzed out on the glass, but why would I want anyone to even remotely like see my light on in my bathroom and be, I mean, they could literally just walk 2 feet on the lawn and then start messing on my window. I don't like that, so don't live on a corner. I hope this has helped. I really do. HOAs just are, you know, they're basically the policing of your neighborhood. They can be a wonderful thing. They can also be a mind-numbing thing. Talk to them if you're really considering a house. Talk to them and just feel it out. See who's at the head of it. You know, try to talk to a random neighbor if you're so brave, you know, and hey, I'm interested, you know, this. I think that half the houses in here are vacation homes and half are locals. So it's definitely good to even find that out, because you just don't, like I said, you don't want to live next to a party house. You don't want to live to a vacation house, because they're on vacation, they're in vacation mode, they're in party mode. They do not care that you want to go to bed for work. They do not care your kid needs to go to sleep for school. So keep that in mind. So I hope this has helped you guys. I will talk all about Magic Kingdom. I will do a vlog for tomorrow all about today's visit to Magic Kingdom and how that went. So catch that tomorrow. And I hope you're having a wonderful Monday. That's all. I'll see you guys next week. Love you. Bye.